Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. One of you mentioned in my little peregrination through the best recordings of Leonard Slatkin that we should talk about his father, Felix, who has a 13-disc CD box on Scribendum, which contains mostly Capitol Records stuff, which means that it's like owned by Warner, which means unfortunately I can't play samples, but it doesn't matter. There is some amazing stuff in here. Felix Slatkin was a strikingly gifted musician. He was a violinist, he was a conductor. His wife, the cellist Eleanor Oller, the two of them, they were like the LA Hollywood musicians power couple, because Slatkin, in addition to like founding the Concert Arts Orchestra or something like that, and the Hollywood Bowl, and all these things are working at the Hollywood Bowl. He was the concertmaster of the 20th Century Fox Orchestra, and his wife, Leonard Slatkin's mother, Eleanor, was the principal cellist of the Warner Brothers Orchestra, and the two of them were the founding members, or two of the founding members, of the Hollywood String Quartet. And I mean, it was just like, and everybody who was anybody in music was hanging out at their house, like Schoenberg and Stravinsky, and they were both buddies with Frank Sinatra, and I mean, it was really quite something. And Slatkin's recordings are legion. He was not, he only lived to be 47. Unfortunately, he died of a heart attack. I mean, he was a very heavy smoker, I understand, and a very hard worker. And it all caught up with him far too early. He was a wonderful conductor, just a great all-around musician. And these are mostly light music recordings, but oh my goodness, how wonderfully put together and marvelous they are. I did a talk about his Gershwin and Copeland disc for EMI, which I think is in here too, actually, but which is absolutely fabulous. And let's just go through these, and we will have a lot of fun talking about what's inside. This is such a great little set. And for those of you who like light music and things that bizarre transcriptions, you realize that perhaps Leonard Slatkin, the maestro's love of that stuff came from his dad. The apple doesn't always fall far from the tree. But let's start with disc 1 here, which contains waltzes by the Strausses, all of them, and Sleeping Beauty by Tchaikovsky, and Kabalevsky's Galop from the Comedians. Oh, and the Polka from Schwanda, der Dudelsack Pfeifer. Schwanda the bagpiper. I played that in band. I'll bet all of you guys did too, that polka and fugue. Boy, what an annoying piece that is. I mean, it's fun to listen to. It's a pain in the neck to play. The Pizzicato Polka, and then a bunch of Strauss waltzes. Okay, so it's Strauss waltzes, yes. And everybody loves them, and they're very nicely played, and they sound quite Strauss and waltz-like, and the things that aren't waltzes don't sound Strauss and waltz-like. Then we've got one of these discs that just has, like, everything on it. It's all these little things. Triana from Iberia by Albanius, and the Farandole from L'Arlésienne by Bizet, and the Saber Dance, and the Bacchanal from Samson and Delilah. Oh, it's yummy. And the Russian Sailors Dance, and I'm just sort of skipping along here because there's 13 tracks. The complete Capriccio Espagnol, that's good. The Tchaikovsky Andante Cantabile, which, who cares? The Flight of the Bumblebee, oh yeah. The Meditation from Thais with Michael Rabin playing the violin. Wow, remember him? I mean, this is like, oh gosh, we can just relive our youth. Talking about these things. Some of them were Grammy winning. These are really good recordings. And then we have, let's see, another bunch of excerpty things. We have the Pavane for a Dead Princess by you-know-who, and the Bach Air on a G-string, which makes the perfect coupling to the Pavane for a Dead Princess, and Bolero, and the 1812 Overture, and the Light Cavalry Overture, and the William Tell Overture, and then Bach, arranged by Villa-Lobos, who was a good friend of the Hollywood String Quartet. They recorded one of his quartets, let's not forget. The Prelude number 8, that's well-tempered clavier, right? BWV 853, and Fugue number 8 that goes with it. And these were arranged by Villa-Lobos, and here it is. Nifty, huh? And we get I may have gotten my BWVs mixed up. I don't know. I never remember. Let's see here. CD4. Oh, wow. Okay. Dochnani, Variations on a Nursery Tune. And the pianist is Victor Oller, who was Felix Slatkin's brother-in-law and the brother of Eleanor Oller, the cellist. And then Mendelssohn, 3 movements from A Midsummer Night's Dream, the Overture, Scherzo, and Wedding March, and Caucasian Sketches by Ippolitov Ivanov. And let's see, and Grieg, Norwegian Dance No. 2. And that's that. These are all recorded like in the mid to late 50s. And in perfectly decent sound. Really, they sound very good. And let's see, CD 5. We're already at 5? Wow. Peer Gynt, Suites 1 and 2. We've been talking a lot about those lately, haven't we? And then Saint-Saëns, The Carnival of the Animals. And Tchaikovsky, The Nutcracker Suite, and the Waltz from the Serenade for Strings, which is here simply billed as Serenade for Strings. But it isn't. It's just the Waltz from the Serenade for Strings. You know, do 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 da dum ba da 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 da. Okay. Then we have, let's see, Debussy, the Petite Suite, and Offenbach, Gaieté Parisienne, the whole kit and caboodle, and Britten, Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. That's juicy. See, there's some major works here and some longer works mixed in with, you know, all the bits of fun stuff. And here we have, the Grand Canyon Suite by Graffay, the Mississippi Suite, and Ibert's Divertissement. Some wonderful couplings, you know, they're just always a little something interesting thrown in there. They're just marvelous. And then we have, this is a panic. This is CD8. These are arrangements by A.R. Marino and Felix Slatkin himself, and also Marino. Now, do you remember, one of my favorite things from the 50s, musical objects, was Esquivel. Do you remember Esquivel? He was a Mexican bandmaster, arranger, who made these completely demented stereo demo versions of popular tunes and some classical tunes too, with things hopping at you from the speakers and just demented sounds and weird things. Well, that's what this is. I mean, there are traditional melodies in here and some classical tunes, and it's a riot. I can't even begin to tell you. You get, for example, the Pizzicato Scherzo from Tchaikovsky's Fourth, played by brass instead of strings, or from Tchaikovsky's Pathetique Symphony, the second movement, that waltz in 5/4 time, it's played with like a tango rhythm against it. And there's the habanera from Carmen, and all of these things are just completely twisted arrangements. It's so much fun. It's unbelievable fun. This is something to sit there when you've got a bunch of people over and maybe you're getting a little like sloshed, and you play them this, and you will think that you have gone to some sort of delusional fun house with distorted mirrors and things. It's marvelous. Then we have band music. This is everything you've ever wanted for band. You know, Sousa marches and Under the Double Eagle by Wagner, and oh my gosh, and some traditional stuff, and what's his name, Arno, who wrote the Olympic Fanfare and things like that. It's just it's all kinds of marchy stuff. Band, and here's Gershwin and Mio. This is the Gershwin stuff. Porgy and Bess, Symphonic Picture, Rhapsody in Blue, An American in Paris, and the Mio Concerto for Percussion and Orchestra. Yes! Not your usual stuff, and the Gershwin stuff is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And here we have Villa-Lobos, Bachiatas Brasileiras, number 1, which is absolutely beautiful, with the Concert Arts Cello Ensemble. And who do you think was leading that? Yes. And let's see, what else have we got? Morton Gould, the Latin American Symphonette, the best performance of that ever in the history of the universe. And that is a minor American masterpiece. It really is just the most delicious little thing. And the Cacciatorian Piano Concerto. Ooh, that's serious, with Leonard Pinario. Serious stuff. So that's a lot of fun. And then we got CD 12 here, a whole Delius program. Unbelievable! A Delius program from 1952. Holy cow, with Leonard Schur, violin, and Eleanor Oller, cello. Yeah. You get On Hearing the First Cuckoo in Spring, Summer Night on the River, the Intermezzo from Hassan, the Serenade from Hassan, the Caprice for cello and orchestra, the Elegy for cello and orchestra, and the Prelude to Ermelin. Wow. And then Harl MacDonald from Childhood, Suite for Harp and Orchestra. That's not something you hear every day, is it? And André Caplet's Conte Fantastique from The Masque of the Red Death for harp and strings. That's a glorious work. And, you know, it became popular, you know, a couple decades ago. I mean, people started recording it again, but this was out there back in the dawn of time, recording-wise. And then Carlos Chavez, the Toccata for Percussion, a masterpiece of the genre and really an epochal event in the history of percussion writing and modern music too, and that's on there. And then finally, this is a little collection of like all kinds of stuff. You get it's film music essentially. You get things like, let's see, Bonanza and television stuff, studio stuff, the stuff that the Slatkins excelled at. I mean, it's what they did for a living. And Spellbound, and the theme from A Summer Place, and Peter Gunn by Henry Mancini, and Love is a Many Splendid Thing, and Gigi, and I'm just skipping around here, and Unchained Melody, and The Magnificent Seven, and the song from Moulin Rouge, and by Auric. That's Georges Auric, who was working in Hollywood at that time. You know, that's pretty cool. And Laura, David Raxon's amazing thing, which they spell here Raskin. I think it's Raxon, but, you know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. And the theme from Exodus by Morton Gould. Remember that? Oh, that was fun. It's just wonderful. So here it is. That's it. I did it very quickly. 13 marvelous, marvelous CDs from the fabulous 50s of what people thought of basically as light music with a few little surprises thrown in just to give you a little zotz. Marvelously conducted by Felix Slatkin, the father of Leonard Slatkin. And so, you know, if you're sunk in nostalgia like I am, if you're getting up there in years, and I know a lot of my audience is, I mean, let's face it, we're all a bunch of altar-cockers, and here we are with this wonderful remembrance of the fabulous 50s. I just adore this stuff, and I think probably a lot of you will too, and if you don't know it, I think you'll be in for a surprise just at how much fun this really is. So keep on listening, folks. Thanks for joining me. Take care.